I went to school at Carleton College in Minnesota after I graduated high school in Pierre, and I went to school in Minnesota. I have a degree in biology, and I came back to South Dakota after I graduated in 2002 and worked for a prairie restoration company. I thought I wanted to do ecology and land management. So I did that for a year, and then I got a job in Brookings as a nonprofit community organizer. Did that for 2 years. Well, I saw a really obvious need in Brookings for a coffee house, and what I found is that I was constantly wishing that there was some place to go, and thought that the need was so obvious, and I was burnt out on working at a nonprofit, so I took the initiative to try to get something going myself. 7 months, and we started the project just a little over a year ago. It took us about 5 months to get the renovation done.
Okay.
We are always evolving, but we look at the way that the market is responding to what we do to make those decisions. And so far, what we've done, to give you an example of how we navigate those kind of decisions, is when we first opened, we thought it would be cool to have food, but we didn't know what that meant really. So for the first, I think 2 or 3 months, we just did coffee with this idea that we would do food. And we just listen to customers and see what they want, and then see how we can meet that need. And so after 2 or 3 months, we decided that we would do paninis and other kinds of sandwiches and soups. And that worked really well because we felt like that's what customers were asking us for. And now we're opening a second location, and it seems like there's a really big need for more of a slightly upscale evening place to relax and meet with friends. And we're definitely considering beer and wine offerings at night because we think that that's what people want. And so, you know, that's basically how we make the decisions. We wait until they're presented to us. We're responding to how the Brookings community is growing, and I think that in the future, Brookings and Sioux Falls are really going to be, I guess you would say, boom towns in a way. I think the growth, the population growth, and the added amenities that are coming to the community are going to just continue to pick up speed in the near future here. And I think that we're just kind of getting positioned to take advantage of that growth. What we needed to do, that was the biggest challenge. We had to invent everything that we were trying to do ourselves, and I think that some of the protocol and systems that we needed to develop that we didn't know anything about, that was really challenging. Then, you know, money's always an issue. Having startup money, you can never have enough money to start a business. So you're always forced to make compromises and cut corners in places that you don't really want to. So that's challenging, but that's pretty standard. Developing leadership within staff is a really hard thing to do, I think, for anybody. And we're starting to get the hang of that. And management in general is really hard. It's hard to get people to care as much about something as you do. I think that that's just pretty natural. I have the most vested interest in what I'm doing at Cottonwood, and the trick is to get people to care about it, the employees to care about it. So leadership development has been and in fact, it's not a problem. I mean, it's actually going really well. That's just the hardest thing. Basically what we do is, it's a side business. It's a business that I own independent of and separate from the coffee house. But it's the way that they're connected is we use the built-in community that the coffee house has as a kind of pool for potential customers for the farm. And so what we do is, like, for example, we'll be having an interest meeting in the spring here, probably within the next month or so. And we'll talk to people that have expressed interest in the farm and explain to them what we do. And then they'll sign up and put down a deposit on a share, which, when they agree to do that, entitles them to a certain amount, depending on the level that they buy in at. It entitles them to a certain amount of produce once a week, starting in mid-June and going through October. And then that's harvested at the farm, brought into town once a week, and delivered at the coffee house. Important to us as it would be to a bigger farm. We're dealing with customers one-on-one, and they can come in and talk to me and ask me questions about how I do things, what my practices are on the farm. They can even come out. We really encourage people to come out and see what we do. And that level of trust is something that you can't have with a bigger company. So for a customer interacting with a bigger company, it's very important to have that kind of third-party proof that these practices are being followed. For us, it's not important. I'm into the coffee house at about 8. We have people, fortunate to have people that will open the store. I don't have to open the store every single day, which I did when we started. We have people that come in about 6:30, open the store at 7. I'll come in at about 8 o'clock and do deposits, reconcile all the bank accounts and stuff like that. And then lately I've just been working on a lot of miscellaneous projects, and then at lunch I help with lunch from 11:30 till 1:30, and do things like make the schedule. I do a lot of administrative stuff right now, and I'm trying to pass that on to managers, but it takes time. So in the summer that'll probably change a bit because I'll have responsibilities on the farm as well, but I'll probably devote one entire day to the farm, one entire day to the coffee house, and not mingle so much. But I like working. I like working, and when you have something to work for, it's kind of cliche, but it makes it not seem like work.
Okay.
Well, that was actually, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because that was actually one of the hardest parts of getting the business started, was naming it, because we wanted to give a name that was interesting but not not offensive to anybody, and not confusing and not weird. And so I went through dozens and dozens of names, and the funniest one was Brew Kings, which nobody but me liked that. And anyway, so we had all these stupid names, and a few that would stick for a few days or a few weeks. And then I've always really been drawn to the prairie and the open spaces, and I feel like Cottonwood is a very good representation of where we are in South Dakota. And I always wanted to have that tie into where we are. So instead of naming it by the city, I just wanted to pick something that was a little bit generic but had a tie into where we were. So that's where it came from.